Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this video I'm going to show you my second rig setup using another Biostar motherboard. In my previous two videos I covered Biostar TB360 Plus motherboard, which was a razorless rig setup. If you want to watch that video, I'll just give the quick link in the right corner of the video. So here I'm just quickly unboxing unpacking all the components which were acquired from the market. I have bought four graphics cards newly along with the same Antec PSU, which is 1000 watts, and this time I have chosen Core i3 processor to just reduce the cost. Previously I had i5 in my previous rig. The motherboard that I am showing you here is from the Biostar vendor itself. The model is TB360-BTC PRO version 2.0. So this is the latest version, which comes with 12 graphics card slots. So in my previous rig, right, it was a BTC D plus board, which was having 8 onboard slots. So whereas in this motherboard we are having 12 GPU slots. So there is no seal when I bought this box, right? But it was a brand new. I confirmed that. So the vendor confirmed that usually there won't be any seal which comes from the Biostar vendor. But yeah, so this time I had some trust on the Biostar because my previous rig setup was stable and it was very good. And as you know, right, in YouTube there is no video which is covering the rig setup of Biostar TB360-BTC PRO. So I hope if I make a video out of this motherboard, it should definitely help a lot of people. So with that motto only, I'm just preparing this video. So you can see it's a brand new Biostar TB360-BTC PRO, and which is version 2.0. It's a latest version which was released in year 2021. So this is an Intel motherboard. We can either use 8th or 9th generation processors. This motherboard comes with Intel chipset B360 and the socket type is LGA1151. We can connect two PSUs which is ATX PSUs at the same time, so we don't need to worry about jumper settings and anything. This is a combination of desktop plus mining motherboard. This is not a pure mining. This doesn't look to be a pure mining motherboard, but yes, this is made for mining. So which is compact in size when comparing to my previous motherboard. I'm quickly unboxing the graphics cards. Few of the cards I got from the after sale market for a very good deal, which was from genuine vendors, and I verified all the bill and it has warranty. And one card I bought from the new market. So I'm going to set up 3 1660 Super and 2 2060. So most of the cards are from after sale market to just reduce some price, because nowadays the price is too much for a graphics card and the stock is also not available. So many gamers are selling their graphics card to get some money out of it. So I got good deals from few sellers in my city. So let me arrange all the components first. So I'll just throw out all the boxes. I got a good deal for this Honeywell surge protector socket. So to use my to just utilize my power sockets, and I got all the risers, cables like Cat6, Ethernet cables, everything. So this time I was very clear what are the components that I should purchase. So I spent very few hours in the market and I got all the components. In my last rig also I used 1000 watts Antec PSU, because this PSU comes with 8 PCIe power slots. So even if we need some additional cables, we can get the cable and we can directly connect it from the PSU itself. So that is the reason I particularly chosen this particular, this power supply unit. So I was just showcasing my existing boxes. So these are my previous boxes, and what you see here is the unboxed components. So when I was making this video, I didn't have any proper rig setup. So I just wanted to connect all the components to test the rig actually. So let me take the motherboard. So as a first step, we need to install the processor. So this time I had gone with Core i3. Even I could have gone with dual core, but still I need some good computing power as well, in case if I want to use this processor for some other purpose. So this is a Core i3 processor which comes with graphics memory. As you all know, right, nowadays Intel is making the F suffixed processor, so this does not have the F. This is a 9th generation Core i3 processor. Let's first fit the processor in the motherboard. So you can simply open the socket, right, and in the processor you can see a small triangle. In the motherboard also there will be a small triangle symbol, which is the indication, and in the processor also you should see the same triangle symbol. So you have to match this triangle symbol in your motherboard. So based on the position, right, you should take care of the CPU socket. Just place it. Anyway, you cannot misplace it. Like, it should only fit in this direction. If you fit in some different direction, it is not gonna like seat in the motherboard. So once it is getting sit properly, you can simply close the socket. As you have all seen, I didn't remove the black color cap, which should come out automatically if you have inserted the CPU properly. So in my case it came automatically, so which confirms the processor was installed successfully, which is very simple process. I have got call, and I have got queries from my some of my friends whether it is that easy like installing the CPU. So even I felt it was quite tough job, but it was not very. So I'm going to apply a bit of heatsink paste. It should be very minimal, because the fan the fan which is provided from the Intel, right, which should have the thermal paste, but for a safer side and according to the weather condition in your city, so we can just apply a small drop of additional thermal paste before installing the fan. So next I'm going to open the fan, take the fan out from the box and just insert it. It's very simple process actually, so you should not think that you will make some mistake while installing the CPU or while installing the fan. So as I said, here the thermal paste was there, so just keep the fan in the position and you have to press all the 4 clips. That's it. If you press gently, you will hear a click noise on each side. So you don't need to put too much pressure, but if you apply it gently, you should hear the click. So as soon as you hear the click, you can see in the back side the fan has been installed successfully. So you should see the clip should come out. That's all. It is that easy. It's very easy actually. I'm just showing you now closer. So which confirms the fan is installed successfully. I'll take out the fan cable. just insert in the respective slot. I know some of us who are in the beginning state, right? You need some advice from the shop vendor or some expert to do this activity. But to be frank, right, this is very simple activity. So don't rely on other guys who may not handle your components very well. So you can rely on yourself and you can do it yourself. That's my personal advice. The RAM which I got here is 8 GB slot. It's some crucial brand, I think, because CPU installation was the hectic thing if you think, but when you do it, it is very simple actually. You don't need to worry about. So RAM installation is another small talk. A baby can do it. Even my kid can install RAM in the motherboard. It is that simple. Sorry, in the RAM, right? So it is that simple. So once that is done, you can just have a closer look at the motherboard. The quality is pretty good actually. It's really solid, and when I compare it to my previous Gigabyte motherboard and Asus, right, this is very good actually. You won't see any cheap material or cheap finishing. It is very good actually in terms of build quality and in terms of the look and in terms of finishing. Everything is very good actually. So let me prepare my GPUs. I'll insert all the risers. So this is the latest riser which is available in the market, which comes with 8 capacitors. So they were like, I mean, the third parties are like improving the risers quality as far as I heard. So in my previous rig, I purposefully avoided risers, but later I realized, okay, the world is moving with risers, so let me also travel along with risers. So this time I had to, so that is the reason I chosen this particular motherboard, so that I can use risers. And the good advantage of having riser is you can keep enough distance between your GPUs, so that you won't need external cooling system, right? And this installation also very simple. So you'd be having a USB cable, which is a male to male cable, so you won't have any confusions. And you would get a power adapter from the riser, which is a 6-pin power adapter. You have to power the riser, and the another end is SATA power. So in any power supply unit, you should get the SATA power. So that's all. So you need to just power up the riser separately using the SATA power, and connect the riser using the USB cable, and power up the GPU separately. So it's not like if you give the power to risers, the GPUs will take the power from the risers. It's not like that. So the 6-pin and the SATA power is just for powering up the capacitors and the electronic components which is available in the risers, right? So because you should make that clear. As I said, I have not prepared any rig or something, so this is just a connection test. So before I make the rig, right, I have to test all the components, because if I find some problem or if something is not working, I can quickly check with the vendor, right, instead of going and running behind the OEMs. So that is the reason before I prepare the rig, right, I wanted to like connect everything and just check all the components. So now I'm unpacking the cables which came from the power supply unit. I'm not going to talk about what are the cables that I got from this PSU, right? Because you would see some other videos which is covering the unboxing of Antec 1000 watts PSU. The model that I have purchased is a high current gamer HCG, which looks good actually. The build quality is also good. So this is the SATA power I was talking about. You need to use this SATA power to power up the razors actually. So this is a series of power. I think at max it is going to consume like 4 volt or 12 volts. I'm not sure. But this is very like low current only. It's not high current. So you can keep a single cable that comes from the PSU. You can connect at max 4 risers. So here I'm connecting all 4 risers into the same series of SATA power. I'm not sure I had 4 slots or 5 slots. I think it was 5. Right? So let me prepare all the PCIe cable that is needed for powering up the GPUs. Because to power up the GPUs, you need a separate cable, and the SATA which was connected is to power only the razors. So you should make that clear. And if you are a beginner, right, you should not get afraid of seeing all the cables, because you should gain some confidence while building this rig, right? So you can contact me, or you can just comment in the video if you have any specific doubts on the cables. Right? I have shared my email ID in my previous videos, so you can just email me with the pictures and you just explain me what are the doubts that you have. I'm like really glad to help you out, because I'm really interested in this kind of topic. So like I don't really expect any compensation or complimentary from you. So my service is absolutely free. So you just feel free to contact me. Right? If I get free, I used to respond like soon. So let me connect all the cables to the PSU. So in the cable, you should see the most of the vendors they have indicated that which end should be connected to the PSU. So just see the particular end and connect the PSU accordingly. Because from both the side you should be seeing 8 pin, but you should not swap the sides, and you should not misplace the cable. In case of any misalignment or any wrong connection to the cable, right, your PSU will power on and immediately it will power off actually. So in case if you think that your PSU is not getting powered on, then definitely you have to like disconnect each and every cable, and you have to first make sure the PSU is getting powered on or not. Because you should not think that you got a faulty PSU or something. Most of the time the cables that we insert in the brand new CPUs, right, that matters. Because in all modern CPU it just powers off automatically when in case of wrong connection in the cable. So even if you connect some different cable at different position or different ports, right, your PSU won't like simply power on. So that indicates there is some problem with the connection, right? So you should not get panic. You can remove all the cables, just power off the disconnect the power from the main socket, and if you power it on, your PSU should be absolutely fine. So don't be afraid of any such thing. So even if you make some mistake, nothing is going to blast, right? So you should you should believe me. Really. So in my previous motherboard, I had to jumper this ATX 24 pin power cable, but this time I have this advantage, right? This motherboard has ATX power slot. I can directly insert the ATX power slot in the motherboard itself. So that is one big advantage of having this Biostar TB360-BTC PRO motherboard. I had some rearrangement because the cable length, right, the USB cable length was not sufficient. So I had to keep the PSU in the middle of the setup, and I have placed everything. So now I'm connecting the 8-pin power to all my GPUs. You should take your time, and you have to like connect it on your own pace. Don't be hurry, and don't do any mistake while doing it. Even if you do any mistake, just remove the cable and just reinsert it. Right. Yeah, so initially I thought I can insert the cable by keeping the GPU at the ground itself, but yeah, later, and I decided to lift the GPU and insert the power supply properly. So you have to take call accordingly based on the position and based on the place where you are doing the setup. And this is just a connection setup, so I don't need to worry about whether I can keep the rig running for longer time or not, because it's just a temporary setup that I'm making just to understand all the connections, right? So if you watch the video without skipping anything, so you should understand how you can build your custom rig. Once you know all the cabling and the basic stuffs, you can just keep the components in any rig actually. So it should be very simple, because from the beginning itself, if you want to keep everything in the rig, then you will get confused actually. So first you do a power on test, so that before you fix something in your rig, right, you can ensure that okay, every components works fine as expected. In case you want like more cable or any component need to be replaced, so you can do any such things. So I'm taking help from my friend who is like capturing this video while I was setting this up. So initially I didn't have any plan of making this video, but as I told, I didn't find any good video that is covering the setup of this particular motherboard, Biostar TB360-BTC PRO. Since the cable is very stiff, I saw that the GPUs were shaking while I was connecting the cables, so I had to be very careful. So I have my personal computer running with one GPU, so I plan to remove that GPU and keep it in the new rig that I'm going to set up. So I'm just disconnecting all the cables and I took the GPU. So finally, after a lot of rearrangements, I had to keep GPUs here and there, because though it was a temporary, I should not make any mistake, right? So that was the plan. Initially I prepared all the Razer PCIe connectors, right, to the motherboard, but later I found that inserting the USB cable is going to be very tough for me, right? So later I removed all the slots from the motherboard. So I'm connecting the 24-pin ATX power supply. So you have to carefully look at the power supply one. If you are just connecting one power supply, you should connect it in the first port, I mean the one which is mentioned as power supply 1, because you should not connect the power supply 2 if you have only one PSU. So this using two PSUs are optional, right? So at least you should use one PSU which should which should provide enough power for all the components that you are connecting. So here I'm just using 5 graphics cards, which are all 10 series and 20 series NVIDIA cards. To power up, I believe this 1000 watts Antec PSU is more than enough. As you see, I was very careful and I should not make any mistake, right, while setting up this rig. So that is the reason I was keep on checking each and every connections, whether it is proper and it's properly connected to the power source. So this GPU was shaking, so I had to make it in an even surface so that it should not fall down when it was powered on. So I was like very careful like setting this rig, because everything is expensive components, right? We should not do any small mistakes. Any small mistakes can lead to big disruption, but I'm not exaggerating, I'm just telling you the facts actually. Okay. So the next part is to insert the power switch to the motherboard. As I don't have any cabinet, right, so I have to purchase this power switch separately. This is very important thing to keep if you want to power on and power off your rig, right? This is mandatory. So I was keep on checking all the connections, so just bear with me. So maybe if you watch it carefully, I hope you should follow me what I am doing it. So you can watch my video and you can set up your rig on your own. Yeah, I found it was difficult to keep insert the USB cable when the PCIe was plugged in to the motherboard. So I took all the PCIe out from the motherboard. Yeah, since it was taking a lot of time, I had to fast forward the video. So once all the riser cables are connected, so this high voice I have already prepared it when I was using my personal PC. So the one which I am showing here is USB 2.0, but I strongly recommend you should use USB 3.0. So that should give good performance while booting up the rig, right? And when you do some update, right, it should be fast. So here you see I have made all the connections. This is the first time I'm going to power on the rig. This is the first time I'm testing this new motherboard, which is Biostar TB360-BTC PRO version 2.0. I have inserted wireless keyboard connections, USB scare, and LAN is connected to my internet. I don't recommend using Wi-Fi for mining because Wi-Fi give little bit latency, so better you go for a wired connection. So just for testing I have kept my personal monitor here. Later I will be removing the monitor from the place actually. This is just for the initial setup. So I just turned on the power keys. I have not powered on the motherboard yet. This power switch was on and I am powering on the PSU. So in this motherboard I have noticed when you have inserted graphics card, your GPU is going to be power on as soon as you power on your PSU. You don't need to press the power switch, right? So that makes sense, right, for mining. In case of power shutdown, you don't need to worry about like powering on the rig. The rig should power on automatically. And when you power it on first time, it will take few seconds, so that it has to recognize all the newly inserted hardwares. Then later it should go through. So here what you see is American Hatrax BIOS, and yeah, so this is the BIOS. This is the BIOS from the Biostar, which is a GUI enabled. So I'm not going to like make any changes in the BIOS. It is going to be the default one I'm going to keep. And so after few weeks, I made this custom rig using Aluminium Channels, and the same connection I just mounted all the hardwares in the rig actually. I hope you would definitely like this rig, right? So which was very spacious to dispense the heat, and I have inserted few clamps for holding the power supply unit. This motherboard can have 12 GPUs, right? So I have made 3 partitions, 3 layers. In the first layer, in the top layer, I'm planning to keep 6 GPUs. In the middle layer, the motherboard is placed, and from both the sides of the motherboard, I'm planning to keep 2 power supplies. As of now, I have kept 1 power supply. So that power supply gives the power for the 3 GPUs in the bottom and 3 GPUs in the top. So that each power supply covers 6 GPUs from one side, so that the cable length and everything is perfect for me. So here we come at the end of the video. So if you really have some queries or comments, right? So you just make a comment in my video. I'll respond back as soon as I check. So hope you have liked this rig setup and the way I have explained, right? So thank you for watching. Have a nice day. We'll meet you in my next video. See you soon. Bye.